Dear All Saints parishioners, I'm truly joyful to be able to stay connected with you through these weekly reflections that I'm sharing with you every week. It gives me so much joy to be able to come to you and to be able to stay in that connection with all of you. And this week, in the gospel, we will hear a desperate cry for help. And at this time of the pandemic, in this situation that we are living in, we all can really hear this cry. And what makes this cry so special and so compelling is this cry for help is a woman's cry. And she is not just any woman. She is also a pagan, a Gentile, to be specific, a Canaanite woman. So a woman's cry, but not an Israelite woman's cry, but a Gentile, a pagan woman's cry. And from this cry, let's try to understand what it teaches us for our faith, for our situation today. We all sometimes find ourselves in this situation of making a plea, crying for help. And especially in this time that we are in, the cry for help is so true. It's so concrete. But this cry for help that we see in the gospel this week is met with a lot of things. First of all, she is met with a strange silence and a heartbreaking indifference. I call this strange silence because whenever somebody cries for help, throughout the Bible, we don't see God being silent. And this is true because, once again, I said, during this pandemic, we might feel, why is God so silent today? Why is he not speaking? Why is he not doing anything about it? So this silence that we see in the gospel today is our experience as well. Jesus does not even seem to listen to the cry of this woman. And there is also a heartbreaking indifference. She is pleading for help, not for her. As you would read in the gospel this week, she is crying for help and she is asking for help for her daughter, who is so sick, possessed by a demon, evil spirit. And therefore, this strange silence and a heartbreaking indifference that no one seems to even ask what she wants, or no one even seems to be interested anymore in what she is crying for. Probably some of us might be in this situation during this time of pandemic, that we don't hear anything, either from God or from our loved ones, or even when they hear, you might experience this very heartbreaking indifference from people who are around us. The second thing that happens to her is she is facing an aggressively self-centered crowd. The crowd is not just any crowd, but a group of people who are with Jesus, who are close to Jesus. Those who are close to Jesus should be different, no? But this group of people who are close to Jesus, at least in this story, seem to be aggressively self-focused, self-centered. Why do I say that? Because when she is crying for help, their response seems to be, send her away. She is crying, shouting after us, send her away. Who would really say this? When somebody is desperately crying for help, who would say, send them away? Someone who is totally centered on himself or herself, self-centered. That's why I said she is met with an aggressively self-centered group of people. Then something else happens. She is also meeting a rejection from Jesus himself. This is very tough and challenging situation to be. Someone who went out of his way to help other people, that's what we read in the Gospels. He is telling her, I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. As I said, she was a Canaanite woman, a pagan woman, a Gentile woman. But Jesus is saying, I was sent by God only to help the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So you have here a kind of rejection by Jesus himself. But that's not all that happens in this story. To make it worse, she was also met with an outright refusal by Jesus. What is that outright refusal by Jesus? She is crying all the more for help. Jesus says, it's not good to throw the food of the children to the dogs. So you see here, whatever she goes through in her life, as she's crying for this help, silence, indifference, self-centered people, rejection, refusal to help him, but she never gives up because she was determined to get one thing, health and healing for her daughter. It's not for her. That's one of the things that I think we need to really focus on. This is something so maternal. It's specifically something that women are praised for, that they always think about other people. And she is fighting for health and healing of her daughter. And she is willing to go through any amount of refusal, rejection, indifference, silence. She is still there asking for help. But I want to focus on two other things as well in this story. First of all, Jesus, when Jesus calls her dog, because that's what Jesus is saying. It's not good to throw the food of the children to the dogs. And we know from history that the Jews considered the Gentiles as dogs. But she is culturally challenging Jesus from her own cultural background. There has been a lot of studies that has been done. The Jews actually would not allow the dogs to come in when they are eating. That's the Jewish culture. And Jesus is coming from that culture and saying, oh, it's not good to throw the food of the children to the dogs. That's not our culture. But we know from history, the Greeks as well as the Gentiles were much more open and friendly to the pets than the Jews. So her culture really taught her it was okay for the dogs and the pets and the puppies to come in while they are eating, And then whatever falls from the table, the puppies and the dogs can eat. That's her cultural experience. And she uses her cultural experience to challenge Jesus' cultural experience. Even the dogs eat what falls from the master's table. And that really challenges Jesus. And Jesus opens up to praise this wonderful woman, calling her, "Your faith is great." The second thing that I wanted to really talk about is, in this story, it's quite amazing. She did not bring her daughter with her to Jesus. If she wanted healing for the daughter, which we see in many of the stories, they bring the person who needs healing to Jesus to be touched, or even to touch the tassel of his cloak. Whereas in this story, this woman did not bring her daughter. What does it say to us? She truly believed that even a word from this Son of God, Jesus, can make her daughter once again normal, bring her back to the normal life. She believed in the power of Jesus' word. And that's why Jesus is really able to openly acknowledge and say to all the apostles, to say to the crowd, "Woman, your faith is great." I want you to once again go back to where we started and what we started. The cry for help. We do hear this cry today, or sometimes we are crying for help in this situation. We also can face so many instances where this woman finds herself in today's gospel story. It might be silence, indifference, or self-centered crowd, people, or refusal, or rejection. But how do we face it? She faced with her cultural background, and she challenged Jesus' cultural mindset. And she also expressed her great confidence in the power of Jesus' word. How do we really face the situations that we face in our life? It's a wonderful story, a story of a woman of faith this week. Even though this week we would be celebrating the Assumption of our Blessed Mother, that's the Mass we will be celebrating, and that's a reading that you will hear, not this reading that I am talking about, but that's the Sunday reading for the 20th Sunday in Ordinary Time. But you can also relate the faith of this woman with the woman that we would honor this Sunday. The woman who was assumed into heaven, body and soul, for her faith. Once again, the two things really talk about the faith. And therefore, I would encourage all of you, as you kind of really struggle with whatever situation you are in, as you are crying for help, or as you feel the need for help and it's not met, you are facing a lot of challenges in your life, I would encourage all of you to keep this one thought, namely, persevere in what you believe. What you hold very close to your heart, do not give up. Keep it in your heart. Be strong, be firm. Certainly, like this woman, our cry will be answered. God bless you.